Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something I'm super curious about, Buddhism. You sent that over What is Buddhism by Akan Chandako Bhikkhu, and wow, it's in Spanish. You got to teach me your secrets. But seriously, I'm really excited to dig into this with our expert. This is going to be fascinating.
I'm excited to be here. Akan Chandako's book is a really good intro, actually, and it's a big topic, right? I mean, Buddhism has been around for, over 2,500 years?
Over 2,500 years. That's incredible. Talk about standing the test of time. And it hasn't just survived, it's inspired entire civilizations. What I find interesting is how Buddhism goes beyond religion.
100%. It's everywhere. Art, architecture, even philosophy. I mean, even the way people think about government and social structures.
Yeah.
Buddhism is woven into the very fabric of so many cultures, especially across Asia. You see it everywhere.
It's true. And I've always wondered, you hear about Buddhist monks and nuns being these incredibly wise people.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the practice itself? What is it about the daily life that might lead to that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it all boils down to training the mind. But to really get that, we kind of have to rewind, go back to the source, back to the story of Siddhartha Gautama.
Oh, right, the future Buddha. Born a prince.
Yeah.
Had it made, right. Living that life of total luxury.
Exactly. He had everything. But he wasn't content. He saw all the suffering outside the palace walls. And it really got to him. There's this one part in the book that mentions him seeing this wandering monk. This guy had given up everything, to find answers. Imagine what that must have been like for a young prince to see.
Seriously. Yeah. Seeing that contrast, that kind of dedication, I mean, it had to make him think, right? Like, what's this guy on to?
Right. So get this. At 29, he leaves it all behind. His wife, his kid, the whole kingdom, everything. All to figure out this whole suffering thing.
Okay, that's a decision most of us can't even fathom.
Mm-hmm.
What was he really looking for? It had to be something deeper than just giving up possessions, right?
Oh, definitely. He was wrestling with those big questions, meaning purpose. Trying to find something real, something lasting in a world where everything's always changing. That's something that people even today are trying to figure out.
He really was ahead of his time, almost like the original minimalist, right? But it wasn't just about getting rid of stuff, was it? The book talks about how he spent years trying all these different practices, even like extreme asceticism.
Yeah.
Basically torturing himself. Why did he do that? What's the significance of that, you think?
It shows you something really important about Buddhism. It's not about blind faith, It's not about dogma. It's about going out and experiencing things for yourself, trying stuff out.
Oh, interesting. So it's more like, don't take my word for it, go see for yourself.
Exactly. And what's funny? Akan Chandako actually says that later in the book. He's like, don't just accept the teachings, Try them out, see if they work for you. If they don't, move on.
I like that. No pressure. Okay, so that brings us to that whole Bodhi tree moment, the big aha moment. It wasn't like a divine download or anything, right? What exactly did he discover sitting there?
So he reached a state called Nibbana, or Nirvana.
Right, Nirvana. But it's not like harp music in clouds, right?
Mm.
I just pictured it like that.
Yeah, it's so much deeper than that. It's about being free from suffering. I mean, really free. Free from all that craving and the hate and the delusion that the book talks about. Think of a mind that's totally at peace, crystal clear, not grasping at anything.
Okay, that sounds amazing, but kind of impossible too. How do you just stop craving things?
It's not easy, that's for sure. But that's what the Buddha dedicated his life to teaching, how to cultivate that kind of inner peace. And it starts with understanding where suffering actually comes from. It's not the outside world, it's our minds, the way we cling to things, thinking they're permanent when they're not.
So it's an inside job.
100%. And the cool thing is, this freedom, this nirvana, it's for everyone. The book makes that really clear. It's not about being special or chosen or anything. It's about the path, the practice.
Which I guess brings us to the Four Noble Truths.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Buddhism's greatest hits.
Yeah.
The book compared them to a medical diagnosis and treatment, actually. I thought that was really interesting. So what's the illness here? What are we dealing with?
Well, it's suffering, right? Dukkha in Pali. And not just physical pain, but all of it. The mental stuff, the emotional stuff, that anxiety, the stress. It's that universal human experience we all go through.
All the messy stuff that comes with being human.
Exactly. But that's what I like about Buddhism. It doesn't just say, hey, that's life, deal with it. It's like, why? Why do we suffer so much? What's at the root of it all?
And that's where the Four Noble Truths come in. The first one is about acknowledging it, right? Suffering exists, which is pretty obvious, I think. But the second one, that's where things get interesting.
Right. The second noble truth, that's the cause. And the Buddha said it's attachment. clinging to things that are always changing.
Clinging to things that are always changing. You know what that makes me think of? Those sand mandalas, the monks who spend weeks creating those intricate designs and then they just wipe them away.
Yes, what a perfect example. They're impermanent, they don't last, and neither do we, neither does anything else.
It's like trying to hold on to water. The tighter you squeeze, the more slips through your fingers.
Exactly, and we do that with everything. We attach to things, to people, even to ideas, like they'll last forever. But the truth is, everything changes, and the more we fight that, the more we suffer.
It really is true.
Yeah.
So we've got the problem, suffering, and we've got the cause, attachment. But is there a way out? That's what I want to know.
That's where the third noble truth comes in, and the answer is yes. There's a way to break free, to find real, lasting peace. And that's where Nirvana comes back in.
Not the harps and clouds Nirvana, right?
Right. It's not about escaping to some other realm. It's about transforming ourselves. Right here, right now.
Okay, I like that. But how do we do that? How do we actually make that transformation happen?
That's the fourth noble truth. The Buddha called it the Eightfold Path. It's like a roadmap, a set of practices for cultivating the qualities that lead to the end of suffering. Things like wisdom, ethical conduct, and meditation.
Meditation. A whole other deep dive right there. But we'll save that for another time. There's something else I wanted to ask you about, something that kind of trips people up. It's that word karma, or karma, as most people know it.
Yes, it's often misunderstood.
Totally. Like, is it some kind of cosmic punishment reward system? Do good things, get good stuff. Do bad things, pay the price.
It's way more nuanced than that. The book does a good job explaining it.
So how would you explain it? What is karma really about?
It's about cause and effect, sure, but it's really about intention. Every action, every word, even every thought at all has an impact, creates these ripples, both inside us and in the world around us.
So it's not just what you do, it's why you're doing it. Your intention matters.
Exactly. Remember that analogy from the book about the salt in the water?
Yeah, the one with the river.
Right. A small amount of salt can make a glass of water taste awful, but in a huge river, you don't even notice it. Our actions are like that. One negative action, if it's driven by anger or ill will, it can cause a lot of harm in a small space. But if our actions come from a place of kindness, of compassion, well, that creates a very different kind of ripple effect.
So our actions, they're like drops of water. They all contribute to the quality of the whole.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing is, we get to choose what kind of drops we add. We're not powerless. We can change the future by changing our intentions in the present moment.
I love that.
Okay,
last question, and then we'll let you go. Rebirth. It's a big one. Is it like reincarnation? Like we come back as cats and dogs?
It's another one that's easy to misunderstand. It's not so much about a soul hopping from one body to another. Buddhism talks about a continuation of consciousness, of energy, shaped by our past actions.
Okay, so all those ripples we were talking about, they keep going even after we're gone.
Exactly, and the goal isn't to just keep getting reborn forever. It's about reaching liberation, nirvana. That's where we finally break free from the whole cycle.
Suffering from a cycle of birth and death.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It all connects. You know, one thing I really appreciate about Buddhism is that it's not about blind faith. It actually encourages you to question things, to find out for yourself.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating your own wisdom and compassion. And it's open to everyone, no matter what you believe or where you come from.
And that's what I take away from all of this, that wisdom and compassion are something we all have the potential for. And that's a beautiful thing. Well, this has been a truly eye-opening deep dive. Thank you so much for breaking it all down for us.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, we hope this conversation has sparked your curiosity. If you're interested in learning more about Buddhism, we encourage you to check out Akan Chandako Bhikkhu's book. It's a great place to start your own exploration. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deeper.